Hello, everyone. Come on. There you go. All right. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Kris. There was a request for something similar to this, but I don't know if this was the video, but this is what I found. So this is what I'll be doing. This is Mossad versus the CIA. How do they compare? Let's find out. But before we do, you click that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Am I already subscribed? I don't need to join. I guess I'm already subscribed. Anyways, I guess I'm already subscribed. I have no idea. If I'm not, well, they're not giving me the option. What's this? Okay, I am subscribed. Normally it says subscribed, but it didn't. Apparently I'm a fool. All right. You can also donate to the channel through the thanks button. If you request a video after you donate, your name sponsors that video. This was a requested video. Took a little bit more time to get to, but it was clearly not sponsored. Okay? Sorry. I didn't start. Let's do it now.
The U.S.'s Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and Israel's Mossad are two of the world's most famous and most elite spy agencies with a long history of working together as allies and at times spying on each other. Mossad versus the CIA. How do they compare? Israel and the U.S. have long professed to be allies and close friends, and politicians in both countries have been bragging for decades about the special relationship between the two nations. While this may be true, and while there have been many instances of the countries and their spy agencies working together to achieve mutual goals, the U.S. and Israel also regard each other with deep suspicion, and both countries have found themselves on the receiving end of each other's espionage efforts. In fact, some experts suggest that Israel launches more aggressive espionage efforts on the U.S. than almost any other nation on Earth. According to a classified NSA document that was made public in 2014, the Israelis are extraordinarily good partners for us, but they target us to learn our positions on Middle East problems. In one of the most famous cases, U.S. Navy analyst Jonathan Pollard was sentenced to life in prison in 1987 after he was caught stealing U.S. secrets and selling them to Israel. Given the clandestine nature of these organizations, it's hard to get any straight answers about what exactly they do or how exactly the CIA and Mossad accomplish their clandestine missions. But thanks to declassified documents, the revealing memoirs of former spies, and some brave whistleblowers, we can start to piece together a history and profile of the CIA and Mossad to see how they compare. The U.S.'s Central Intelligence Agency was formed in 1947 by President Harry S. Truman, largely in response to growing tensions with the former USSR after World War II. Reporting to the Director of National Intelligence, a cabinet-level official, the CIA's official role is to provide foreign intelligence information to the President of the United States and Cabinet. Today, the CIA employs more than 21,000 people, though only a fraction of them work as spies. Although there have been female spies in the CIA since the very beginning, the agency also has a long history of sexism, and many former employees have noted that a glass ceiling has long prevented women from rising to higher positions in the CIA. In 1992, only 10% of non-support roles were held by women, versus 40% in the general workforce. The CIA has made strides forward in recent years. In 2018, Gina Haspel was sworn in as the first female director of the CIA. Mossad was formed in December 1949 to act as a central body that would coordinate between Israel's existing intelligence agencies, like the Army's intelligence arm, and the Internal Security Service Shin Bet, and the Foreign Office. In 1951, Mossad was reorganized and made a part of the Prime Minister's office, reporting directly to the Prime Minister. From their headquarters in Tel Aviv, Mossad focuses on foreign intelligence. According to their website, their role is to collect information, analyze intelligence, and perform special covert operations beyond Israel's borders. The Mossad ethos is summed up in their motto, taken from the Bible: "By way of deception, thou shalt make war." To help with their mission, Mossad employs nearly 7,000 people, but only about 50 of them are covert operatives called Katsa. Many Katsa are women, and the agency has a pretty progressive attitude toward their female operatives. Mossad Chief Tamir Pardo has said, "Contrary to stereotypes, you see that women's abilities are superior to men in terms of understanding the territory, reading situations, spatial awareness. When they're good, they're very good. When it comes to achieving their objectives, flirting is fair game for female spies, but there are hard lines that they will not cross, and that their superiors will not ask them to cross. A former female Israeli spy told reporters that a man who wants to gain access to a forbidden area has less chance of being allowed in. A smiling woman has a bigger chance of success, but was adamant that sex is never used as a weapon. CIA spy training takes place at their headquarters in Langley, Virginia. To be accepted into the CIA spy training, a minimum prospect must be over 18, have a background in science, engineering, or business, and be drug-free for at least a year. Knowing a second language is considered an asset as well. CIA training focuses on handling mental stress. Recruits learn through grueling experience how to function and focus through sleep deprivation, fatigue, discomfort, and in the face of extreme danger. Recruits also receive training in firearms handling and hand-to-hand combat, but the hallmark of CIA training is the year-long clandestine series training. According to former CIA spy Amaryllis Fox, trainees run around DC high on the fact that civilians around them are oblivious to what's happening right in front of them. At the Farm, the nickname for their secret training facility, new recruits will learn the hands-on skills they need to be a successful spy. They're trained in elicitation or bumps, the subtle art of extracting information and getting a mark talking. They learn to perform dead drops and brush passes to subtly hand off information or materials. They become skilled at detecting and eluding surveillance. During training, their marks are other seasoned spies. Some of them see it as their duty to share their hard-earned wisdom with the next generation of spies. Some are just looking for an easy assignment close to home, and still others are being punished for screw-ups in the field. Requirements for joining Mossad appear to be less stringent than the CIA. According to their website, all are welcome regardless of religion, nationality, or occupation. Training takes place at the Midrashah near the town of Herzliya, where prospective recruits are subjected to a battery of psychological and aptitude tests before starting their 3-year training program. During training, new spies are instructed in the arts of espionage, including how to cultivate agents and avoid surveillance. They also receive extensive training in different methods of killing. How do the CIA and Mossad compare? Both organizations have similar structures and mandates, and their recruits undergo similar training. Perhaps the best way to see how the two agencies stack up against each other is to look at them in action. Though their work is, by nature, secret, over time details have leaked out about both agencies' successes and their failures. The CIA's official focus is on gathering intel, and Operation Rubicon was one of the largest, longest, and most successful operations in CIA history. It started out as an unofficial gentleman's agreement between two friends, NSA cryptographer William Friedman and Boris Hagelin, owner of the Swiss firm Crypto AG. Crypto AG was one of the world's most reputable manufacturers of coding machines, and it counted the governments and militaries of over 60 countries among its clients. The two friends, Friedman and Hagelin, agreed that Crypto AG's machines should only be sold to friendly countries, and throughout the 1950s, almost all of Crypto AG's machines were sold as readable to the United States. The relationship between Friedman and Hagelin grew strained over the years, but by the late 60s, the CIA realized that they needed to find a way to retain their access to the valuable information that Crypto AG provided. CIA agents, with help from West German intelligence officials, orchestrated a daring and complex operation to purchase the Swiss company in June 1970. The purchase was done in secret, through intermediaries to deceive Swiss officials, and not even Crypto AG's employees knew the real identity of the company's new owners. Once the CIA controlled the company, they continued to sell less secure machines to enemy countries, and probably to their allies too, and enjoyed decades of unfiltered access to intelligence data from all over the world during the height of the Cold War. Data collected through Crypto AG machines was instrumental in countless Cold War events, including the Suez Canal crisis in 1956, the 1978 Camp David peace accords, and the Iranian hostage crisis in 1979. Like the CIA, Mossad's focus is on counterterrorism and intel gathering. In recent years, Mossad has also branched out into venture capitalism, investing in tech startups in an effort to stay on the cutting edge of cyber technologies. Mossad also aren't too shy about the fact that covert operations, including assassinations, are a major part of their mandate. One of Mossad's most high-profile successes was the abduction of Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann, a daring escapade that seems like a plot straight out of a Hollywood spy movie. Eichmann was one of the architects of the Holocaust, personally responsible for the mass murder of 6 million of Europe's Jews. And after the war, he escaped justice and fled to Argentina. There he lived a quiet life with his family under the fake name of Ricardo Clement. When Eichmann's son began dating the daughter of a Jewish refugee who had spent time at Dachau concentration camp, her father realized Eichmann's true identity. He alerted Israeli officials, and Mossad sent a highly trained snatch team to Argentina to capture him. Most members of the team had lost their entire families in the concentration camps that Eichmann had created. On May 11, 1960, Mossad agents approached Eichmann as he was walking home from his job at a Mercedes-Benz factory, wrestled him to the ground and into a waiting car, and sped away. They took him to a safe house where he was interrogated for days before being drugged and smuggled onto a plane to Israel. The trial that followed was the first televised trial in history, and the first time most of the world heard the true details of the Holocaust. Eichmann claimed that he was just following orders, but the evidence showed otherwise. He was found guilty and hanged in June 1962. Some of Mossad's and the CIA's biggest successes have actually happened when the two agencies worked together. During Operation Olympic Games, which started in 2006, CIA agent and Mossad operatives were rumored to have worked together to foil Iran's nuclear weapons program. The operatives created a sophisticated digital weapon dubbed Stuxnet virus, the first of its kind in the world. Since hackers couldn't access the plant's systems directly, they
I've heard of this. I saw a documentary about this. It was really interesting.
coordinated a complicated operation to infect the laptops of 5 different companies believed to be connected to the facility with the destructive virus. These patient zeros then spread the virus to the plant's industrial control computers via USB drives, effectively destroying the plant's centrifuges and preventing Iran from enriching uranium, an important first step in creating nuclear weapons. It took nearly a year for the Iranians to discover the virus in their systems, and to this day, neither the US or Israel have officially taken credit for the attack. When an operation is successful, the public is unlikely to hear about it for years, if at all. Failures, on the other hand, often make headline news. In recent decades, the CIA has come under scrutiny for its perceived failure to prevent the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. It faced increased scrutiny in the wake of the WikiLeaks breach, and Americans' growing concerns about privacy. In 2015, the CIA faced lawsuits and backlash over its interrogation methods, which critics believed amounted to torture. Mossad is not immune to criticism either. They're frequently accused of hyper-focusing on their neighbor and sworn enemy, Palestine, to such an extent that it causes them to miss important intel elsewhere in the Middle East and around the world. They've had their share of scandals, too. In 1972, Palestinian terrorists launched a deadly attack at the 1972 Munich Olympics, killing 6 Israeli athletes and 5 of their trainers. Mossad agents hunted down many of the terrorists behind the attack, but in 1973 they shot and killed a Moroccan-born waiter in Norway, having mistaken him for one of the terrorists. 5 Mossad officers were tried but released, and Mossad compensated the victim's family. Mossad and the CIA are 2 of the most elite and effective spy agencies in the world, at times acting as allies and at others turning their considerable espionage skills on each other. Mossad versus the CIA. How do they compare? Only time will tell who comes out on top, though, come to think of it, maybe we don't really want to find out. If you thought this video was fascinating, be sure and check out our other videos like this one, called Who Are the Most Successful.
All right, that was interesting. It didn't really give me what I was wanting to know, but still very interesting. It started very similar times. So there's so much we don't know. There's a great, maybe I'll cover it. It's a long video. It's like 3.5. Well, so there's 2 parts to it. I think a couple 2.5-hour videos. John Kurlock. He's a former CIA guy, and he talks about his time from when he started up until he ended up going to jail for a little bit. He was a whistleblower. But it was pretty interesting. It's, fascinating to listen to him going over all of the what he would discuss, going over a lot of the things in the CIA that he had learned, and living in certain places. He was in Greece and was almost murdered. I'll have to look into it. Maybe if I can find a shorter, because it's covering 2.5-hour videos. That's a lot of time. But anyways, we're going to stop this here. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, have a good day, have a good night.